Hi, and welcome to another episode of Tim's Tutorials. Today we're going to be doing Triptych Windows, and I might throw in some bonus right at the very end. Hint, right above here somewhere along in there. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be doing two different types of Triptych Windows, and here right behind me you can see the two different variations there, and those are the ones we're going to be doing, and I'm going to kind of show you both ways of doing it. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. I've already kind of pulled some stuff out, so to kind of speed this up just a little bit, I pulled a ring off of here, off of the little small set of circles that I have here, and they're 2 voxels thick, and this one here is a 13 by 13. If I go ahead and copy this one, I'm going to exit out of that, Control V to paste. I'm going to bring this down like so. And we'll overlap this one with the one that's already there. Let me kind of zoom in here so you can kind of see this a little better. There we go. So we're going to overlap it, and we have come out one and up one. I'm going to hold down my F key, which is going to go into a deletion mode, and this way I can cut out part of the circle in the shape of the selected volume that I've pasted down. So by holding the F like this, I'm now going to click my mouse, and it's going to delete out that shape from the original little quarter circle here. I'm now going to take this and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it down. I'm going to hit my tilde key to go into the rotational little circle thing there. I'm going to hit tab next so I can go through and be able to rotate it on that particular axis. I'm now going to bring this kind of up in the air so we can see it, and this is what we're going to be working with. Now, depending on the size of the circle that you're actually working with, you can get bigger arches and higher arches and all that kind of good stuff, and really cool things to do with them. And so it takes a little playing with to figure out exactly, the kind of curvature that you want for your particular building. But for this one, this is what we're going to use. And as I said, this is a 13 by 13 circle, or quarter circle. I'm going to select down here at the bottom and pull this up until I'm pretty much happy with where I want to grab this thing at. And for this, I think I'm going to go somewhere about like that, which is 11 by 6. I'm going to hit Control C to copy just that section out of it. Let's come over here right next to it, bring it up into the air, and I'm going to paste that down. And you can hit X to get away from all those tools, or hit your escape key to escape out of all of those tools. And now I'm going to go to my line tool, and I'm going to come right on this outside face just like this, and I'm going to roll my mouse and get this thing a little bit larger, and I'm going to click a few times, and what that's going to do is kind of smooth off that face vertically, and because it'll have like an angle to it like this depending on where you copy it out of the circle with. So it takes it from this and knocks it back up, right? All right. So now I'm going to copy this section again, Control C, Control V, drop this back down. We're going to mirror it in the direction that we want it to be mirrored in, and to do that, you can see if I hit tilde and then hit tab, I can get around to my arrows, and now in the direction I want it to mirror in, I hit the V key to get it out like this. I'm going to line this up end to end and hit check. And that's going to form up our little archway here. And this is going to be the beginning point for everything else we do with the Triptych Windows. So I'm going to keep this as my primary, and I'm going to use a copy of it to create the rest of it. So let me back out of here and let's come over to a little cleaned out area. I'll bring this up into the air and I'm going to paste it down. I'm going to drag it over, and I want an even number in between the bottom edges of this thing. So I want to come over here and go 1, 2, and I'm going to paste it down. This next one, I'm going to bring this third archway into it, and I want to make sure that this is sitting centered. The little peak there, as you can kind of see here, I want that peak to be centered with that little gap that I've placed in there. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to put it in adjustment mode so I can kind of move it around here so I can make sure that I am on cue with it. And that's just by holding control and clicking, and it brings up the adjustment mode and allows you to kind of move around the item. So at this point I'm going to move up into the air, something about like that maybe. I'm going to take pasting with air off, and I'm going to turn remove voxels on, and I'm going to hit check. And you can see it kind of does a little bit of distortion here. So let's do a Control Z to back out. Let's move this down just a little bit and do it again. And you can see how these little edges are kind of stretching out and kind of deforming a little bit. But the part that I am most interested in trying to save as much as possible is this right up in here. I want to try to save that if I can possibly do it. The top, I can probably come in here and do some little modifications to the voxels to kind of close it up and kind of make it look like it's supposed to a little bit better there. But let's go ahead and Control Z one more time. I'm going to bring it down one more voxel and see what this one looks like. You can see it. I can kind of probably play with this bottom, get it straight, and the top is now looking good. And for this one, let's go ahead and go back to the one we had before, which is this one. And I'm going to leave this one pretty much how it is. And let's exit out by hitting our escape key. And I'm going to delete all this excess here in the center just by selecting it and hitting our delete key. Go ahead and clean all this up. Control V to bring this one back in. And let's get it back lined up to where it was. Right there. And I'm going to paste. And this will give you a kind of an idea of how this thing's going to look pretty much overall for our particular Windows set. Now, things you can do with this is you can probably take a full circle and thin it out like we did originally, and actually have like an archway at the bottom of it where it actually comes down like this into like a curvature, so the windows are coming around that curvature. But for this one, I'm going to make it pretty similar to what we did back here in the back. And to get us started on that, I want to make a copy of these two bottom voxels here for the center part. I'm going to copy this, bring it down over here to the side, bring it up into the air. Now, the bottom part of the voxel is basically what I want to make every voxel underneath of it exactly match up with it. I want it to be what I'm connecting to. So I'm going to bring this up one voxel and I'm going to paste another one there. Now I'm going to grab the two voxels on the bottom, Control C to copy. I'm going to paste these right underneath the existing ones. And I'm going to finish this down all the way until I get a flat surface for the bottom. So we have something like this, and just by leaving it like this, it's got a pretty neat design with this right here. But if you wanted to clean it up, I'll show you some little ways you can kind of handle that. Now, before we start playing around with this, let's go ahead and finish off our bottom. So I'm going to use a putty voxel, and definitely check out the video for putty voxels, and it'll help you kind of be able to play with that, play with them on pretty much anything that you want to paste a voxel next to without kind of screwing it up. And it's a very good technique to know, because it will help you long term on your buildings. And I'm just going to fill this in all the way down. And you can see these putty voxels are leaving that shape as clean as possible, so it kind of merges really nice there at the bottom. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and select the whole entire thing all the way up, and I'm going to paint this with wood. So I'm going to select that wood texture I had way back there. I'm going to paint it. So we have this. Now I'm going to take a lighter color, which is kind of like this white down here, and I'm going to paint some of these voxels right up in here, so I know what I am kind of working with. And it shows me all the different shapes that I have in here. Now this one right here is the one that I am most interested in, probably more than any of them. And if I take my selection tool and I grab that and take a really good look at it, kind of pulled off here to the side. Let me bring this up. Let me kind of zoom in here so you guys can see this. If I take my selection tool and I select that, notice where this particular edge is actually meeting at. This is going to help me actually fix this voxel to where we can fix the actual archway up there. If this particular edge comes to here, if I take this edge and pull it down to here, that way I have a angle that comes straight down, I can take that voxel, put it back in, and it will actually clean up that. Instead of having a shape that looks like this, it'll bring it back down like this. Now, so this kind of goes back to this 45-degree angle board, or 45-degree board, or whatever you want to call it. There is a tutorial on how to make this little thing. So definitely check out that particular tutorial on how to make this board. This thing is actually kind of handy in quite a few different ways. It's definitely something you can kind of play around with. Now, if I look at this, I want this edge to be down here, and this one is equal to the bottom of a voxel space. Now if I look over here, and this right here, this particular square, or this voxel, if you notice, what would be here is now down here. The one that's up here, the one that would be here, is actually over here. And hopefully you can kind of see where my mouse is kind of twitching around and all that. And this one here, what would be here, is now in the center. So this kind of gives you an idea of how each and every one of these is kind of laid out. This one is pulled there, this one is pulled here, and of course this one is pulled there, and it kind of goes all the way around the circle. So for this one, I'm going to use that one. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste that one with that particular edge. Bring it down and in, so it's like this. So if I paste it in now, you can see it pulled that one that was out here down to where this one is, and that's because of your paste dominance. And this is how we can kind of get around and kind of play around with some of the voxels to try to see if we can clean up different things that we're doing. And I'm taking my line tool and popping it on the side and clicking a few times just to see if I can clean that voxel up on the sides. Now if I copy this one, come up to the one that we took it out of, which was this one. No, or was it this one? I don't remember. I think it was that one right there. I'm going to replace that one with this one, and watch the shape. I now have more of an arc shape, and it's a little bit more like this. It's a little bit thinner than what this one is, but it looks a heck of a lot better than that thick little bow-legged looking thing that's already there. So I'm gonna drop this one down, mirror it to put on the other side, and let's drop that one in, and boom, we now have our triptych arch pretty much done now. Now at this point we want to copy this and paint it. So let me bring up my paint again. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to paste it, drop it down, and I'm going to make it either 2 or 3 thick, whatever I'm needing for my particular build. And you can see I'm getting a little bit of artifacting here and there, but that's okay. You can come in here and put that line tool on it and double click and kind of clean it up. You'll find little places here and there that you'll have to click on it to kind of clean it, but it will clean it up right nicely the more you kind of play with it. So boom, nice and clean. Now at this point you'll want to kind of come in here, and if you want to put glass in it, you can make a putty voxel made of the glass material, such as I've done here at the bottom down here that I'm selecting. I'm going to copy that. Now the trick to this is you only have to fill up 1/2, and most likely you'll only want to put it right there on that center section that we put in, and kind of fill this in. I got a few dirty voxels in there, and that's because of the ones that I deleted earlier. But if we pop this in there right quick, you'll kind of get the idea of what you can do with this. And boom. And just like that, we've kind of cleaned it up, and we got some little weird looking shaping right in there. But if we take the line tool again, put that in there, double click it, and you see it cleaned up that little weird looking look to it right there. And now we have a decent little window. Now let's go ahead and fill the rest of this in, and I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible, and go ahead and knock this out. But you only have to do it to 1/2 of the total shape. You don't have to sit there and spend, you know, all this time trying to fill in all this stuff, because it's kind of not needed. One side is just is shaped just like the other one, so we're going to go in there and kind of throw this in there right quick. And if you can get that voxel pretty close to where your mouse is located, you can kind of fill this in fairly quickly. And you can also go in here and paint this as well. If you make a voxel, putty voxel out of something else, you can just go in there and paint those putty voxels into glass after you get it in, and you're set to go. And as you can see, I've got 1/2 done. So now let's grab the half. We're going to do a copy. We're going to do a paste. We're going to mirror it, and we're going to put it onto the other side. And boom. Escape, escape, and boom. We have our first little triptych window. And you can see some of our little artifacting kind of came back from the copy and paste from the other side. But, you know, line tool it up, and boom. Looking pretty good there. And all we got to do now is take that and paste it into a wall, and boom, we've got another triptych window. Now that's just one. Now if we want to do the reverse, which is like this one here, it works the same way, except we use these as the ones we pop in. So let me go ahead and drop that in and do that really quick. We're going to use that same archway that we used before. So let me grab this, pull this up, do a Control-C to copy, pop this down, and we're going to do the same thing as what we did before, but this time I'm going to bring this out with a 4 voxel gap. That's 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to bring this in, kind of bring this up and level or straight down to the center there, boop, like this. I'm going to bring this up a little high, and I'm going to push it backwards, something like that, and I'm going to hit check. Now I'm going to grab these, bring this up, Control X, and what that does is it performs a cut, but it takes it and puts it on the clipboard just like we did with a standard copy. We'll bring this down and center it with the peak up there. Let's bring this down. I'm going to push this back like so. I'm going to hold F for my delete key. So boom, exit, exit, or escape, escape. I don't know why I say exit. Just kind of a habit, I guess. All right, so we have this, and that looks pretty cool. So let's bring that back into position. Let's push it back. I'm going to do a control click so that I can make sure I'm online with it. So I got that, and I'm going to hit check. And you can see now I have a different type of window. I have more of a kind of an arrowhead looking deal here in the center with 2 primary archways here on the side. So we have 2 different ways of handling and dealing with that same arch. Now this one's almost the exact size that I want, so all I got to do now is pop in my putty here at the bottom, and we can almost wrap this one up. So, but like I said, 2 different ways of doing it. So I think I grabbed my glass putty, but it's okay. I'm going to have to paint it anyway, but I'm going to make my line here at the bottom. There's one, and I'm getting all jerky because my camera location. Get that in there. And boom. We got that all kind of set up now. Now let's go ahead and grab the whole thing. Let's paint it our wood texture, and there's our next archway. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Paste one on this side, and I'm going to paste one on the other. And just like the one before, we fill in, you know, 1/2 with the glass. We can clean up our little artifacts here with our line tool, and boom, we have another triptych, a different style of triptych. Isn't it cool? All right, so that's 2 of the ones that you can do, and you know, there's different things you could do with this. I mean, a bunch of different things you could do with this, and different ways you could play with it. If you wanted to, you could probably even do some funky stuff, you know, like, I don't know, probably grab like this or something. Let's copy that, and I could probably come in here. Actually, let's bring this out. There's one. Let's mirror it. Let's bring it on to the other side. Let's get that in there. Yep, I'm pretty much lined up there too. Let's bring this out. Let's do a control click to make sure I'm on line with the other one. And I'm off by 1, looks like. Yep, boop. And let's hit check. Now, let's take a copy of that original one. That original whole entire thing. And pull this up. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. Drop this down. Bring it out. And having it right there, let's hold F, click, and then click again. And now I've got another window. Look at that. Something different. And of course, you probably have to come in here and play around with some voxels and kind of changing the shape of that voxel in some form or fashion. And you can play with these voxels in different ways. And one of the easiest ways to do it is playing around with like megavoxels. And megavoxels is probably one of the, well, actually megavoxels and microvoxels. You can play around with each to try to learn how to manipulate them and kind of bring them in, bring them out, and all that kind of stuff. Then once you get kind of familiarized with playing around with the voxels using that technique, then you can move into like the standard library. And then from the standard library, you can move on into your Roman vector libraries and stuff, and how to kind of play with them and stuff. Now, we have been told that we may get a voxel editor at some point in time. We're going to cross our fingers because it would make things so much freaking easier. But we'll see. But just kind of giving you another idea on how to kind of play with some of this stuff. All right. Now, moving on, I'm going to go ahead and jump into our bonus little section here, which is our Arrowhead Windows, which, well, I just kind of showed you how to do it, sort of, right? Okay. Now, for this, I've already pulled out another little circle here, or a quarter circle, and this one is a 9x9, but I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm going to pull this off, and we're going to work with something like this, which is like a 9x5. Heck, I can even drop it down even more. I can go down to a 9x4 if I wanted to. But for this one, I think I'm going to go with this. Let's go with a 9x4. So let's copy this. Let's paste it down. And just like we did before, we're going to grab our line tool, put it right on that inside face, enlarge our line tool just a bit. Double click, double click, double click, until it pretty much stops moving, and then you're good, right? Hit escape to get away from that tool. Now we're going to make a copy out of this, and let's go ahead and paint it while we're at it so we ain't got to worry about it later. Let's go ahead and select that, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, bring this down, and I'm going to go into V to mirror, put them in the end. Boom, we got the first part of our little arrowheaded window kind of going on there. Now, me personally, I like sticking with the circle that I already have because I honestly think it feels a little bit more natural. But for this one, I'm going to grab something around in here, something like that. That's a 3x3 section right there out of the center. I mean, you don't have to work with this one. You can come down and you can just grab down here or something, different places, and playing with different sizes and shapes and all that kind of good stuff. But you can come and make and just grab out another section there. And I'm going to copy here. Now, if I grab here to here, you'll see it's 8 units. And my size of what I just grabbed is not going to fit. So let me go back and re-grab here. I want one that's 4 units. Because I want it to be the width of half of this, and right there I think that's going to do. So let's grab that. Let's move back a little bit, Control V. Let's bring this up into the air, and I'm going to hit my tilde key here, Tab, and I'm going to rotate this onto the side, and I'm going to click. I'm now going to go ahead and hit my Tab. I'm going to rotate it around. Actually, I need to play with this first. Let's use my line tool and flatten that end. And I don't have to really flatten this in. I could probably leave that the way it is, but I think I'm going to end up flattening it out just for poops and giggles there. Let's grab the top, grab to the bottom, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I'm going to hit Tab, mirror, bring this out, put it into position, and paste. So now I've got this shape kind of going on. Now I'm going to grab this whole thing as a whole, Control C to copy. Let's get down here. Actually, let's grab the whole thing and cut it so I don't have it in Control X to cut, Control V to paste. Let's get this thing kind of lined up. Let's bring it down to the bottom. I'm going to push it in, or roll my mouse until I'm underneath of it there. I'm going to hold down F and I'm going to click, and there's one shape that we can kind of work with. Let's bring it up one, hold F and click. There's another one that we can make. So different stuff we can kind of do there, or we can just leave it the way it is and click. And you can kind of see all the different little variations you can kind of play with there. And of course we can come over there and let me see if I can grab that color way over there. Yeah, I can do it. Now if we paint this, you can kind of see the shapes that we have there, right? And you can see all the different locations of a standard voxel. So it would take a little bit of playing to get that pretty much dead on, but it can be done. Now I'm going to take this one here in the corner, Control C to copy. I'm going to manipulate this just a hair using a standard voxel based on what I saw for the square location of where a voxel would kind of reside. I'm going to kind of zoom in on this just a little bit, and I'm going to take a standard voxel, put it right there on top, hold Control, and I'm going to click, drag it out by one, and I'm going to hit check. So I've kind of pulled that edge up. I'm going to see if this will kind of work for what I want to do. Do a Control C. Let's go ahead and select all that, delete it. Now let's replace that voxel with this one. I'm going to push this in and click. So now I have a little bit more of a curvature there kind of going on. And I could probably, let's back up. Let's bring this up. Now if you notice, I put that one voxel in. Now if I take another voxel, Control click, bring one up into the air. I'm going to select this voxel, and I'm going to use my smooth tool on it. One, Control Z to back out. I'm going to hold F this time, and I'm going to click once, twice. I think that might do it. And I kind of shrunk it down just a little bit. I'm going to use my line tool, kind of zoom this in and out. I'm going to double click on just this side, escape out of it, come to this other side, use my line tool, double click it a few times, and now I have what I've done is shrunk that voxel down and then pulled the sides back out as close to an actual width of a standard voxel is what we actually can do. So if I select it this way, you can kind of see it kind of comes almost all the way out here, almost all the way out here. But if we look at it this way, you can see I have that gap all the way around it. So let me copy this, Control V to paste. I'm going to drop this in to replace the one that's already there. Click, bring this down, and if I Control Z back out of it, you can see how that thing moved, right? I kind of stretched that one little edge out just a little bit more to see if I can actually get a voxel shape that may look just a little bit better. So let's drop this in. Let's see how this looks. And that's a little bit better. And I can repeat that process over and over again until I get that sizing exactly kind of how I want it. Now, by smoothing it down, it's going to bring it down like this. So that edging is only going to go at a 45-degree angle this way. Okay? And so going the up and down direction is not exactly perfect, but you can kind of play with it and you can kind of see what you can do with it. Different things you can do. So let's go ahead and paint that. Let's get our other color back in. Let's copy that one. And you can kind of see the difference in between one side and the other there. And let me see if I can smooth this out with our line tool a little bit. You see the difference. We can either come out or we can have like this little shape here. So Control C, Control V. I'm going to mirror it and put it on the other side. If I push that in there, you can see the difference in the two. Paste that in and let's line tool it. All right, and we almost got this knocked out. Now, at this point, we've got that kind of a shaping kind of going on. We can grab the bottom, pull this down, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and bring it out so we have like a little edge if we wish. You can see one side's kind of acting a little flaky there with me. One's kind of sticking up when it shouldn't. But if I pop one down, I got one side that looks clean, and if I put the clean to the unclean, paste, and then copy the first one, something about like that, bring it down, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and replace the one that was originally there. Boom. You can kind of see the cleaned up edges. And however you want to do it from there on out, this is just something kind of me just kind of throwing out there, another thing to kind of play with. And you can see some of the other ones that I've made here, and different things I've done with it. You know, I've kind of brung out the edge to make it give a little edging to it here. Then I've got these which are flattened off, just different sizes and shapes and all that kind of stuff, and you can put glass inside of it and make it look all pretty. So with that, guys, that is the end of the bonus round, and with that, I will see you in the next tutorial. Yeah.